When you're working with a company like Home Depot and some of the other larger tenants, you're either moving into a center or maybe selling some ground to. Do you find that it's very difficult to one, make the connection with their contacts, but then two, go through their red tape or processes versus working with some of the smaller tenants?
No question about it. Development is a very complex business. There were some deals with, land assemblage. There could be environmental issues, zoning issues, topography issues, rock. Building something from ground up is a completely different business than acquiring an existing shopping center. Very, very difficult. But as they say, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So I surrounded myself with people that I thought were, good at what they did. So as we grew over the years, as I said, we started the company in 1989. There was me, one other person, and a secretary. And then we had explosive growth over the years throughout the 90s and early 2000s. And then in 2008, when the music stopped, we had 37 people. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but we had 10 agents, in-house counsel, two marketing people. We were pretty vertically integrated, and we were doing a lot of different things: acquisition, development, tenant rep, leasing, investment property sales. And it was just every year was better than the year before. And so it grew pretty exponentially. We had a formula that we found to acquire these shopping centers. So our model was more B and C grade shopping centers. We couldn't compete and afford to buy something in West St. Louis County or St. Charles County back then because those were going on much lower cap rates. So we would target North County or some middle to lower demographic areas and older shopping centers where we could buy on higher cap rates. So back in the day, we would buy on 10, 11, 12 cap rates and finance at 5 to 6. When you buy an 11 or 12 cap and finance at 5 to 6, the cash on cash return is pretty high double digits. So it was pretty fun to raise equity. You could sit in front of somebody and say, you put your 100,000 in, you get this big return, and I think we can create value by, redeveloping an outlot, doing this, turning it inside out, whatever we were proposing to do. And so the equity always came. And the interesting thing about the way we built our portfolio was mainly relationships with brokers. So we were pretty well known. We were closers. So and we were in multiple states. So a broker would call and say, I've got a client in Kansas City, an older guy. He's going to retire. He's got 2 shopping centers. So we'd hop in the car and go shake his hand and kick the bricks and draft a contract and close. Today, that deal, those 2 shopping centers, would be put on the internet. 20,000 people would see it, and you might get 14 or 18 offers, and then they would say, give us your best and final, give us proof of funds. So it's a lot different today. I could not build my portfolio the way I did. The internet's a wonderful thing. It's done a lot of great things for us and for society and for the real estate industry, but that's the main difference. It was personal relationships. And I remember the first time I heard, I would get a $5 or $10 million shopping center under contract. I didn't have $5 or $10 million. I would get it under contract. I'd go to the bank first and get the loan commitment, then figure out how much equity we need. If we need $2 million, I'd start dialing for dollars and call my list of investors, and they had done well in the other deals. And I had doctors, dentists, and they'd pick up the phone, and I'd say, it's in Topeka, Kansas, and he'd cut me off mid-sentence, put me down for 100. So they had confidence that I knew what I was doing. We were managing the centers well, and we could create value. They weren't micromanaging what and where the shopping center was. So it got pretty easy to raise equity. But I started to say, I'll never forget the time I heard, I'm not sure what year it was, from a young broker from CB or Marcus and Millichap, I've been buying shopping centers for 25, 30 years, and I heard him say, we need proof of funds. And the first time I heard that, I thought, man, what an arrogant young guy. What is that? What do you mean? I have to show you that I have $5 million in my checking account to get this shopping center under contract? Well, that's what it became. And there's more equity on the sidelines today than ever. There's so much money out there. And so that is the world today, is the funds and the high net worth individuals and people with the cash, which, as I said, back then we'd get the deal under contract, then I'd go out and raise the equity. I never did a blind pool. I always did it deal by deal. So I sat in front of somebody and said, this is what and where it is, and this is why we're buying it, and what we think we can do with it, and how we can increase value, and what your return's going to be on this specific deal. And it was a pretty successful model.